You think cruise food is all luxury buffets and bottomless desserts. Think again. There are foods on board that even the crew refuse to touch. From the deceptively fresh buffet favorites to hidden bacteria bombs that could ruin your entire trip. These are the 18 foods seasoned cruisers never go near. Whether you're sailing with Carnival, Royal Caribbean, or MSC, one wrong bite could send you straight to the ship's medical bay. Stick around, because secret number 7 shocks even the most loyal cruisers, and it's something you've probably eaten more than once. Today, we are talking about never eat these 18 foods on a cruise ship. Avoid these. 18 room service burgers, the late night trap, that late night burger you order at 2 a.m. It might be the most dangerous meal on the ship. Most passengers think room service means freshly cooked, straight from the grill food. But here's the truth. Late night orders often sit under metal lids for 30, 40, sometimes even 50 minutes before reaching your cabin. That's not fresh, that's lukewarm meat, trapped in a moisture pocket, the perfect breeding ground for bacteria. Crew members have admitted that after midnight, there's usually only 1 or 2 cooks covering the entire ship's room service line. Orders pile up fast. Burgers get prepped in bulk, held on warming trays, and sent out in batches to save time. By the time yours arrives, the cheese has melted into the bun, the lettuce is limp, and the meat has cooled below safe temperatures. And here's the kicker. Foodborne illness on a cruise doesn't always hit immediately. It can take a day or 2 to kick in, right when you're supposed to be enjoying that beach day in Cozumel or your elegant night in the main dining room. So what should you do instead? If those midnight cravings hit, head to the 24-hour pizzeria or the late-night buffet station. These spots keep food rotating constantly, fresh, hot, and safe. Or order room service during the day when the kitchen's fully staffed. You'll still get that juicy burger, just without the side of regret. The clean thing you drink that might not be so clean. Number 17 will surprise you. 17. Cruise ship tap water and ice. The hidden contamination risk. You might think cruise ship water is perfectly safe. It's filtered, right? Well, not always. Most passengers don't realize that cruise ships store their water in massive onboard tanks, sometimes for days at a time. That water is refilled from local ports along your route, and while the ship treats it, the system isn't foolproof. Residue, minerals, and even small amounts of bacteria can linger inside those tanks. And here's the part few people talk about: the ice. Those big metal bins near the pool or buffet. They're often left uncovered, handled by dozens of different crew and passengers throughout the day. Sunscreen-covered hands reach in, cups brush against the scoop, and that ice ends up in your safe drink. In 2023, one Caribbean sailing saw a spike in gastrointestinal illness traced not to buffet food, but to contaminated ice from an outdoor dispenser. It spread quickly because everyone thought, it's just ice, how bad can it be? But here's why it matters. Even mild contamination can wreck your cruise. Stomach cramps, nausea, dehydration, all while you're trapped at sea. You want to be in line for the ship's medical center while everyone else is at the beach. Do this instead. Always drink sealed bottled water or canned beverages. If you must use ice, get it from the main dining room, not the pool deck. That ice is machine handled and replenished in sanitary conditions. 16. Buffet desserts looks better than it tastes. Let's be honest, cruise buffet desserts look amazing. Perfect layers, glossy glazes, colors that scream Instagram me. But here's the truth. Most of those pretty pastries are mass-produced weeks before you ever step on board. Cruise kitchens receive frozen dessert shipments, then thaw and decorate them for presentation, not for flavor. Ever noticed how the chocolate mousse tastes the same every day? Or how the cheesecake texture feels oddly rubbery? That's because it's often made from premix bases stabilized with gelatin and preservatives to survive long storage. The goal isn't gourmet taste, it's consistency for thousands of passengers. Crew insiders admit that buffet desserts are designed for display impact, not freshness. They're stored in refrigerated drawers, rotated over multiple meal periods, and topped with a quick glaze to make them shine. By the time you get that picture-perfect slice, the flavor's long gone. And here's the real consequence. Those empty calories add up fast. You'll fill up on sugar and miss out on the made-to-order dishes that actually showcase the ship's culinary talent, like the warm chocolate lava cake in the main dining room or the pastries at the specialty cafe. Do this instead. Skip the buffet sweets and save your sugar cravings for fresh desserts prepared in the dining room or coffee bar. You'll actually taste the difference and avoid the frozen fillers. 15. Unlimited soft serve ice cream. The germ magnet. Everyone loves the free ice cream machine on a cruise. You walk by the pool, grab a cone, pull that handle. It feels like pure vacation bliss. But here's the truth. No one tells you that soft serve station might be one of the dirtiest spots on the ship. Most passengers don't realize those machines run all day, often in hot, humid areas. They're rarely shut down long enough for a full cleaning. The handles, the drip tray, even the inside mechanisms can harbor melted residue and bacteria. And since hundreds of people use them daily, kids with sticky fingers, adults with sunscreen hands, even cones that touch the nozzle, you've got a non-stop germ exchange. Crew members have quietly shared that health inspectors pay special attention to soft-serve machines. Why? Because dairy left sitting at unsafe temps can spoil quickly, even inside the dispenser. That's why the ice cream sometimes tastes a little off by day 3 of your sailing. And here's the kicker. All it takes is one person not washing their hands to spread bacteria that lingers on those handles for hours. That's a one-way ticket to an upset stomach or worse during your sea days. Do this instead. If you're craving something cold, order real ice cream or gelato from the dining room or cafe. It's stored properly, scooped with clean utensils, and tastes 100 times better. Hash 14. Buffet pasta and cream sauces. A bacteria, buffet, in disguise. Those creamy pasta dishes at the buffet look like comfort food heaven, but they're a silent risk. Most cruisers don't realize how long those trays of Alfredo, carbonara, or mac and cheese sit out under warmers. They look hot, steam rising, metal pans glistening, but in reality, many hover in the danger zone between 90 degrees Fahrenheit and 130 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just warm enough to grow bacteria, not kill it. Cruise chefs prepare these sauces in huge batches during lunch rushes, then rotate them throughout the day. On busy sea days, replenishment slows down, and temperatures drop fast once the trays are uncovered. By dinner, that creamy sauce can be hours old, thickened, and harboring microscopic trouble. There's a reason seasoned cruisers joke about buffet belly. It's often the dairy-based dishes that cause it. Cream, butter, and cheese break down quickly in heat, especially when stirred and exposed to air. And because they're so rich, even small portions can lead to discomfort when you're at sea. Why it matters. A simple serving of lukewarm fettuccine Alfredo can sideline you for days. Nausea, fatigue, and dehydration while everyone else is at the pool deck party. Do this instead. Skip the buffet pasta trays and head to the made-to-order station. Ask the chef to toss your pasta fresh with olive oil, tomato sauce, or light cream. It's cooked hot, served fast, and you'll actually taste the difference. Safely. Hash 13. Fancy coffee drinks and smoothies. The hidden sugar trap that caramel latte or tropical smoothie might seem like a small treat, but it's quietly sabotaging your cruise. Here's what most passengers don't realize. Those specialty coffee bars on ships, whether at Royal Caribbean, Caf Latte Tudes, or Carnival, SJAV Blue, use premixed syrup bases loaded with sugar and preservatives. They're not handcrafted barista drinks. They're assembly line beverages built for speed and profit. A mocha frap can easily top 500 calories, and fruit smoothies. Some have more sugar than a can of soda. That means you're restarting your day with a sugar spike that crashes hard, right when you're reboarding your shore excursion or lounging in the sun. And it's not just about calories. Too much sugar dehydrates you fast, especially in tropical weather. Add in a few alcoholic drinks later, and you're suddenly sluggish, cranky, and wondering why that beach day feels like work. Here's a real insider tip. Crew members almost never order these sugary drinks themselves. They stick to plain coffee, tea, or cold water. Not because they're boring, but because they know what's really in those mixes. Why it matters. You re-spending $7, $9 a pop for something that drains energy and adds zero value to your trip. Multiply that by a week-long cruise, and you've burned through cash and hydration. Do this instead. Order a brewed coffee and add a splash of milk or your own flavor drops. Or grab a banana and water. You'll save money, stay hydrated, and feel great on port days. 12. Raw meat and seafood. The dangerous delicacy. Ordering raw oysters or steak tartare on a cruise might sound luxurious, but it's a gamble you don't want to take. Most passengers assume that because it's served on board, it must be safe. But here's the truth. Raw foods are only as safe as their cold chain, the strict temperature control from dock to plate, and at sea, that chain can easily break. Even top-tier cruise lines like Celebrity or Royal Caribbean rely on massive shipments of seafood stored and transferred through multiple ports. If just one of those steps goes wrong, a brief thaw, a delayed delivery, a warm storage unit, bacteria like Vibrio or Salmonella can start multiplying, even before it hits the galley. In 2023, a high-end cruise in the Mediterranean reported over 40 passengers sick after eating raw oysters served during embarkation night. The oysters looked perfect, tasted fine, but they carried harmful bacteria from one port's local waters. Why it matters. When you're at sea, there's no nearby hospital. Even a mild case of food poisoning can ruin your entire trip. Dehydration, fever, and isolation in your cabin while everyone else enjoys shore excursions. Do this instead. If you love seafood, choose cooked dishes. Grilled shrimp, seared tuna, or steamed crab legs are safe, flavorful, and still feel indulgent. On a ship, heat is your best friend. 11. Buffet sushi. The raw deal at sea sushi and cruise buffets should never mix. yet almost every ship serves it. You see those neat little rolls lined up under soft lighting, maybe even with a bit of decorative wasabi. It looks fresh, colorful, and harmless. But here's the catch. Most buffet sushi isn't made to order. It's mass-produced hours in advance and stored at room temperature far longer than it should be. Cruise chefs prep huge trays before meal rushes, then slowly replenish them to avoid waste. That means the roll you grab might have been sitting out for 60, even 90 minutes. And when rice, fish, and mayo-based sauces sit in that warm but not hot zone, bacteria love it. One major cruise line actually changed its buffet policy after multiple norovirus cases were linked to raw fish rolls that hadn't been properly chilled. Even when the fish itself is safe, the combination of rice and thyme makes it risky. And the soy sauce bottles everyone's touching. Another layer of contamination you don't need. Why? It matters. Foodborne illness on a cruise doesn't just mean missing a meal. It means being quarantined in your cabin for 48 hours. Minimum. You're stuck while the ship sails on without you. Do this instead. If you're craving sushi, go to the specialty restaurant. Lines like Royal Caribbean's, Izumi, or Carnival's Bonsai Sushi make rolls fresh to order, under strict temperature control. You'll pay a few dollars more, but you'll actually taste freshness, not regret. 10. Buffet scrambled eggs. The powdered breakfast trap. Those scrambled eggs you see steaming on the buffet line each morning. They're not what you think. Most cruisers assume they're cracking hundreds of fresh eggs behind the scenes. The truth. Many cruise kitchens rely on powdered or liquid egg substitutes mixed in bulk, because it is faster, cheaper, and easier to store at sea. Here's how it really works. Early in the morning, crew members whisk together giant batches of reconstituted egg mix. Pour it into huge pans, and keep it warm for hours, under heating lamps. It looks fluffy, but the texture gives it away. Rubbery, spongy, and oddly uniform. And the longer it sits, the worse it gets. When food sits in that lukewarm zone, not quite hot, not quite cold, bacteria can start multiplying. Combine that with the thousands of passengers scooping from the same tray, and you've got a recipe for trouble. Some passengers even report stomach discomfort within hours of breakfast, blaming motion sickness when it's actually poor food handling. Why it matters. A bad breakfast can derail your whole day. Nausea, fatigue, and dehydration, especially before a shore excursion. It's the last thing you want before climbing ruins in Cozumel or snorkeling in St. Thomas. Do this instead. Skip the buffet pans and head straight to the omelet station. They use real eggs, cook them fresh on a clean grill, and you can customize exactly what goes in. It's hotter, safer, and infinitely tastier. #9. Buffet foods at unsafe temperatures. The silent spoiler here. Something most cruisers never think about. Your buffet might be running at the wrong temperature. Cruise buffets are designed for convenience, not precision. During busy sea days, when thousands of passengers crowd in for lunch, hot foods are constantly uncovered. Trays are half empty, and turnover slows down. That's when things slip into what food safety experts call the danger zone, between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. At those temps, bacteria don't just survive, they thrive. And the worst part, you can't see or smell it. Ever noticed that the mashed potatoes seem cooler by mid-afternoon, or that the shrimp pasta feels lukewarm? That's the giveaway. Crew members try to rotate trays quickly, but on large ships, it's impossible to maintain perfect consistency across dozens of serving stations. There have been real cases of passengers developing mild foodborne illness traced back, not to a single dish, but to how long buffet food sat uncovered. Even 5 or 10 minutes at the wrong temperature can make a difference when you're recooking for thousands. Why it matters. Food that lingers too long can lead to nausea, bloating, or worse, a ruined day in your cabin instead of on deck. The ship's medical staff sees it every voyage. Do this instead. Always grab food from trays that are actively being refilled or steaming. Skip anything that looks dried, congealed, or too quiet. If the serving area feels cold and empty, wait a few minutes for a fresh batch. Your stomach will thank you later. #8. Deli meats and smoked fish. The hidden listeria risk that smoked salmon bagel or deli sandwich looks harmless, but it could be one of the riskiest foods on your cruise. Here's the truth most passengers never hear. Cold cuts and smoked fish can harbor Listeria monocytogenes, a bacteria that survives even at refrigerated temperatures. Once it's there, chilling doesn't kill it. And on a ship feeding thousands of people a day, cold foods often sit in large containers for hours before serving. Many buffet stations pre-sliced ham, turkey, and salmon early in the morning. They're stored on ice and rotated in bulk trays throughout breakfast and lunch. But here's the catch. Stored cold doesn't always mean stored safely. Temperature fluctuations happen constantly as trays are swapped, lids are lifted, and passengers crowd in. There have even been cruise ship inspections where cold-cut holding temps were found just above safe levels. Not enough to cause alarm, but enough to let bacteria multiply. And because listeria symptoms can take a few days to appear, passengers often don't connect the dots until after they've disembarked. Why it matters. A few slices of pre-sliced deli meat could leave you feeling off for days, especially if you're older or have a sensitive stomach. Nobody wants their elegant sea day ruined by a case of cruise stomach. Do this instead. Order meats and fish freshly cooked or reheated. Grilled turkey, hot paninis, or a freshly seared piece of salmon taste better, smell better, and are far safer than anything cold on a tray. 7. Soft cheeses and unpasteurized dairy. The fancy food trap, that beautiful cheese board in the ship's lounge, might look like luxury, but it can carry a hidden risk. Soft cheeses, like Brie Camembert and blue cheese, are often imported, and sometimes they're made with unpasteurized milk. On land, you might get away with it. But at sea, where temperature control depends on giant cold storage rooms and constant handling, the risk multiplies. Cruise kitchens handle thousands of ingredients daily. Even one shipment of unpasteurized cheese left at the wrong temperature can introduce bacteria like Listeria or E. coli into the mix. The scary part, you can't see or smell contamination. The cheese still looks creamy and delicious. There have been reports from longtime cruisers who experienced mild foodborne illness after indulging at the ship Esquermet charcuterie night. The culprit, imported cheeses that hadn't been pasteurized or stored consistently through multiple port transfers. And while most healthy adults recover quickly, certain passengers, especially pregnant travelers, seniors, and those with weaker immune systems, are far more vulnerable to complications. On a cruise ship, even mild symptoms can mean being quarantined in your cabin until you're cleared. Why it matters. What's meant to be a classy snack could easily become a cruise-ending mistake. Do this instead. Choose hard cheeses like cheddar, Gouda, or Parmesan. Anything labeled pasteurized. They're safer, keep longer, and taste just as good with a glass of wine on your balcony. Number Y. Communal Condiments. The germ hotspot. Everyone misses those ketchup bottles and mustard pumps by the burger station. They're some of the dirtiest items on the ship. Every day, hundreds, sometimes thousands of passengers touch them. Kids with sticky fingers, adults dripping from the pool, people who just came from the restroom or buffet line. Each squeeze or pump transfers unseen bacteria from one person to the next. Most passengers assume the crew wipes them down regularly, and yes, they try, but on a ship feeding 4,000 people, it's impossible to sanitize every shared item between uses. By midday, those condiment bottles are handled non-stop. The result? They become what health inspectors call high-touch germ surfaces. On several cruises, minor norovirus outbreaks have been traced back not to food, but to these communal touchpoints, buffet tongs, salt shakers, and yes, condiment stations. Once contamination starts, it spreads fast. One person gets sick, and the next thing you know, half the ship is dealing with stomach flu. Why it matters? You, Dan, T, have to eat spoiled food to get sick on a cruise. All it takes is one shared ketchup pump after someone skipped washing their hands. Do this instead. Use sealed single-serve condiment packets whenever possible. They're cleaner, safer, and widely available at onboard grills. Or better yet, bring your own mini travel sauces. They take no space in your bag and guarantee you stay germ-free while everyone else lines up for the pump. 5. Raw produce and salad bar items. The dirty secret behind fresh. You'd think the salad bar is the healthiest place on a cruise ship. But here's the dirty secret. It's often the riskiest. Cruise lines restock produce throughout the voyage, especially in tropical regions. Much of that fresh lettuce, cucumbers, and fruit docenti come from your embarkation port. It's sourced locally from ports along the route, and that means it may have been washed or handled in water that is not potable by U.S. standards. On land, your local restaurant follows strict health codes, but at sea, produce passes through multiple hands: local suppliers, dock workers, onboard storage teams, and finally buffet staff. Even one step of improper washing introduces bacteria like E. coli or Salmonella, and those cling tightly to raw greens. Veteran cruisers and even crew members admit they often skip the salad bar entirely. They've seen lettuce delivered in bulk crates sitting on the dock in 90-degree heat before being moved to storage. It looks fine, later, chilled, crisp, colorful, but you never see what happened before it hit the tray. Why it matters. Foodborne illness from produce tends to hit within 24 hours. Right in the middle of your vacation. You'll blame motion sickness, but it could have been that healthy salad. Do this instead. Choose fruits. You can peel yourself bananas, oranges, melons. For vegetables, go for cooked options like steamed broccoli or stir-fried mixes. They're safer, satisfying, and still give you your greens without the gamble. 4. Pizza by the pool. The late-night danger zone. That late-night slice by the pool might feel like the perfect end to your sea day, but it could be a stomach disaster waiting to happen. Most cruise ships keep pizza stations open nearly 24 hours. Sounds great in theory, but here's what you don't see. By midnight, those pies are often reheated leftovers from earlier in the evening. They sit under heat lamps, drying out, cooling unevenly, and collecting more than just grease. Crew members admit that late-night pizza service runs on skeleton staff. To keep things available, they'll cycle the same slices for hours, swapping trays instead of baking new pies. The result? Hard crusts, oily cheese, and sometimes food sitting well below safe holding temperature. Even worse, passengers touch the trays, grab slices barehanded, and hover over open food with no sneeze guards. It's one of the most handled foods on the ship, and after a few hours of pool parties and drinks, hygiene tends to drop fast. Why it matters? Foodborne bacteria love warm, cheesy environments. Combine that with late-night digestion and heavy grease, and you've got a recipe for nausea, heartburn, or worse, losing a day in your cabin while the ship sails on. Do this instead. If you're craving pizza, get it fresh. Wait until you see a new pie come out of the oven, or order a slice right at dinner time. Or better yet, grab a snack from the cafe or sandwich bar. Fresher, safer, and actually worth the calories. #3. Shipboard hot dogs and sausages. The reheat repeat offender approximately equals 260 words. Those poolside hot dogs might smell amazing, but what you're really getting is reheated mystery meat that has been making the rounds all day. Here's what most passengers don't realize. Cruise ships prepare these in massive batches every morning. The dogs are boiled, grilled, or steamed early, then stored in warm trays to be rotated through multiple meals. When lunch service slows down, leftovers often get recycled for the next crowd, sometimes regrilled or placed back under heat lamps to look fresh. Crew members have quietly admitted that, especially on sea days, turnover slows dramatically after peak hours. By late afternoon, those same sausages may have been heated, cooled, and reheated again. Every temperature shift increases the risk of bacterial growth and flavor degradation, and even when they're safe to eat, the quality tanks fast. The buns go stale, the meat dries out, and the toppings, sitting in communal bins, aren't exactly sanitary after hundreds of hands have passed through. What looks like a quick snack can end up being one of your least satisfying and most regretful cruise meals. Why it matters? Old or overhandled food isn't just gross. It can make you feel sluggish, bloated, or queasy right before a big excursion or evening show. Do this instead. Skip the buffet dogs and head for the carving station or grill where food is cooked in front of you. Fresh turkey, chicken, or fish straight from the grill beats a reheat any day in taste and safety. #2. Overhyped specialty steaks. The pricey cruise food trap. Everyone says you have to try the ship's steakhouse at least once. But here's the truth, they don't tell you. Those $50 premium cuts. They re-often the same grade of beef served in the main dining room, just plated prettier and paired with fancier sides. The big difference isn't the meat, it's the marketing. Cruise lines make huge profits from specialty dining. The lighting's dim, the music's smooth, and the menu uses words like aged, prime, or signature. But insiders know that many lines, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and MSC, use the same suppliers for both kitchens. The steakhouse gets the same shipments, maybe with a slightly thicker cut or extra seasoning. That's not to say the food is bad. It's just not the 5-star upgrade you're led to believe. And when you're already surrounded by included dining options, it is easy to spend $100 per couple on a meal that doesn't actually taste any better. Why it matters? Your cruise dollars are better spent elsewhere on shore excursions, upgraded drinks, or specialty restaurants that actually offer something unique like sushi, teppanyaki, or seafood prepared fresh to order. Do this instead. If you want steak, ask your main dining room server when they're reserving it. They usually offer prime rib or fillet at least once per cruise. Want to splurge? Go the first night, the meat's freshest, and you'll beat the crowds while everyone else is still unpacking. #1. Buffet Seafood Night. The spoiled feast everyone falls for. It's the most anticipated night of the cruise. Seafood Night. Shrimp towers, crab legs, lobster mixes, and the biggest trap on the ship. Most passengers think it's a luxury perk, a once-a-cruise feast worth lining up for. But here's what you don't see behind the buffet line. Timing and temperature management on seafood night is a logistical nightmare. Those chilled shrimp displays, they look icy cold but often sit under warm dining room lights for hours. As the night goes on, the ice underneath melts faster than it's replaced. Crab legs and lobster claws are pre-cooked in bulk, then reheated or held in trays where temperatures fluctuate constantly as passengers open and close lids. Even a short time in that lukewarm zone is enough for bacteria to start growing, especially on shellfish. Crew members quietly admit that seafood night creates the most food waste and the most foodborne illness complaints. Passengers often wake up the next day blaming motion sickness, when in reality it was the buffet shellfish that turned. Why it matters? Nothing ruins a cruise faster than a bad bout of food poisoning, especially from seafood. You could lose days of your trip quarantined in your cabin while everyone else is out snorkeling or sightseeing. Do this instead. If you're craving seafood, eat it in the main dining room or a specialty restaurant where it's cooked to order and served immediately. Grilled, steamed, or sautéed seafood is safer, hotter, and actually tastes like it should, not like it's been sitting in a metal pan. Now you know the truth. Cruise food isn't always the all-you-can-eat paradise it seems. Behind the endless buffets and late-night bites, there's a world of temperature swings, mass production, and risky shortcuts that can ruin an otherwise perfect vacation. But here's the good news. Now you know exactly what to skip. Avoid those room service burgers that sit too long. Skip the tap water and buffet sushi. Watch out for the fancy soft cheeses and late-night pizza that spin under a lamp for hours. When you choose foods that are cooked hot, made fresh, and handled safely, you're protecting your health and your vacation. Remember, cruise ships serve thousands of meals a day. The galley staff does an incredible job, but not every dish gets the same attention. The smartest cruisers don't eat more, they eat better. They know when to skip the buffet, when to head for the omelet station, and when to enjoy that perfectly grilled seafood in the dining room. If you found these insider tips helpful, tap that like button and subscribe for weekly cruise secrets that save you time, money, and stomach trouble. And tell me in the comments what's the worst thing you've ever eaten at sea. I might feature your story in a future video.